All right, next session, Prospector's Playbook, cold calling and door knocking, a little bit of the mindset, but I really want to get to some of the scripts and some of the mindset as you're executing the scripts. Just a little bit of recap of some of the sessions we did, the mindset and discipline of a prospector, talking about some of the techniques and scripts now. In the future, with some of these sessions, we'll talk more about expired and FISBO and how you can create these listings for leads and converting internet leads, social media engagements, following up with internet leads, which I think is a real important conversation, open houses, and a number of other things to help you with time management, objection handling. But prospecting is a great controllable type of lead generation. Just remember, consistent lead generation is really going to make the biggest impact on your business. It is really the number one most important job to stay in business. Yes, there's the integrity of serving people. So when we're interactive with people, I mean, that takes top priority. But guess what? If we didn't do any sort of lead generation, there's nobody to serve, right? So if there's no egg, there's no chicken. So you really have to make sure that you're consistent with it. It is the oxygen of your business. And, even as you develop your other real estate skills, lead generation will help you overcome all those obstacles as you grow. If you are doing that, that will keep you in business as all else develops over time. And then with prospecting, there really is no ceiling. Yes, it is high volume activity. There could be a number of doors or a number of calls, what have you, but it is direct and controllable action to create results. That's the main difference between prospecting and marketing. Marketing, we could have a billboard up on the side of the highway. We can send out mailers. We can post on social media, you name it. But it's really with marketing, it is the consumer's choice to reach out to you. Prospecting, you are directly connecting, and how many people you connect with is your choice. And a certain percentage will be converted into clients. What's the biggest objection we face? It's you, it's fear. That's the number one thing. It's not a time problem, it's not a resource problem. It's not where do I find the leads, where do I find the people. No, it's really the only obstacle is really us and our fear and our amount of activity. So, fear of the phone. And why do so many agents have a fear of the phone? It's likely because there isn't a plan. It's probably lack of practice and a lack of preparation for objections, and then your lack of belief. So, how do we change this? If we lack a plan, let's get a plan, right? Practice and internalize your scripts. The reason why we want to practice and internalize, because if you're on the phone with somebody and you're engaging with them, it's very difficult to read off a piece of paper. And you're not engaging with the person if you're reading what you're supposed to say next. So that's why practice and role play makes a big difference. And you want to prepare for those objections that we know that are coming. There really are very few new objections. A lot of it is a lot of the same objections that we've heard about, agents have heard about 5 years ago, 10 years, 20 years ago, a lot of similarities. And you just got to remember, if you don't believe it yourself, believe in the numbers. The amount of new people that you're talking to, if you're talking to enough, statistically, even if your conversations are average, you are going to find clients. So let's start with door knocking. And this is something that everybody could do because it really doesn't cost a whole lot. And there are houses and doors all over the place, right? So why does door knocking, which is considered kind of a maybe an old school sort of lead generation, why is it viable? It still works. Absolutely. It helps you build your listing business. It will separate you from the crowd because less agents are doing it than you believe. Certainly, cost effective lead generation might be the cost of printing off some flyers and maybe door hangers. It gives you a chance to position yourself as the local expert in either your neighborhood or your neighborhood of choice. You can also control the price point. Sometimes with certain types of lead gen, we can't control the price point, but you certainly can with door knocking. And there are people who are door knocking on multi-million dollar homes. They absolutely are. If you're not a fan of cold calls, and there are some who are better at in-person communication than the phone, and that's fine. The great thing about real estate, there's so many different ways to build business. Find something that feels good for you and building a relationship with the neighborhood. So you figure if you're in a neighborhood and you're going to be living there for a while and you've always wanted to pull more business or listings out of your own neighborhood, it is a prime time opportunity to build a relationship not only with your neighborhood or your neighborhood of choice. So you've got a few things here. What to bring? Well, you can bring business cards, or you can add your business card digitally to a flyer. You want some sort of call to action, right? How can they find you or get your home value report or something? Wear something either professional or business casual. If you have something with a logo, that's great. That helps. Then they know you're not there selling solar panels and what your purpose is. Um, but if you're putting a flyer together, I would suggest having some sort of local info. What's the trigger for you being there? Are you sharing local data on the success and value of their neighborhood? Do you have some sort of stats as to how things are happening? Not national stats. What's happening micro? This is your chance to get granular and really connect with them and their neighborhood. And then make sure you have that clear call to action that I mentioned. Um, Make sure that your phone number is easy to find. Is there a QR code that goes to your website or goes to the home value generator on your website? Um, and your email address, or is there some sort of the a call to action is, okay, if you need something or if you want information, call, text, email, go here. And you just want to make sure that that's super easy and visible. And obviously, you want to have a good conversation. And if you do, well, you want to follow up and follow through. So whatever was the outcome of the conversation or whatever the promise was to be, you want to make sure that you live up to that. Um, was it a home value, something that you could either drop off or mail? Maybe a thank you note, real quick one-liner. Hey, thanks for the quick conversation last Saturday. It's good to get to know the neighbors. Thanks, Bob Agent. Um, and I would make some sort of note to visit again. So I would highly suggest that if you're doing some sort of door knocking campaign, if you have a spreadsheet, so you know what doors you went to, which ones that open, and which ones you have to follow up, and not try to keep it top of mind memory or something written down. But again, follow up and follow through. Examples of what you can bring. We have a lot of flyers that could be edited on our marketing portal, anything from for sale or just listed, or if you're having an open house. If you are not super good at flyers, um, we can help you do this. So if you have some sort of um, door knocking event or open house that you're doing, and you don't have time to go to Canva, or if you're like me, you go into Canva, don't even really know what buttons to click in that. There are people who can put this together for you to make things a bit more efficient. Now, if you wanted to specialize, maybe you want flyers of a different color, you have the latitude to do that. And then there are door hangers that you can always produce. One of the good things about door hangers, if they don't answer, you could still leave your message on the door to let them know you stopped by. Um, what are some of the triggers for conversations for door knocking too? Was there a recent sale or recent sales within the neighborhood, something that was just listed, just sold, or a few homes that you want to let them know about? Open house is a nice, easy reason to have a conversation, to communicate with the neighborhood because you're not selling them anything. You are simply inviting them to something. A success story. Did you help somebody in that neighborhood? You helped a buyer. You helped a seller. You have a good story to tell and you want to share it. a success story really can work out. Thinking about selling, obviously looking for listings. Investors are looking in your neighborhood is a good conversation too, because cash sales are always something that a lot of home sellers are looking for. Your home value is increased. If you want to find out how much it's worth, you can go here, or I will share a report with you. Or maybe you're going to do something positive with a community-driven campaign. So you've got a few choices. There are plenty of conversation starters. You got plenty of them. And you just want to stick to, okay, what's going to be the best script for me as I'm attacking some of these doors. So before we get to some of the scripts here, Tim is on here, and Tim has done some door knocking on a variety of different sort of methods, whether it is open houses or just getting to know the neighborhood. I think even looking for investor options. So, Tim, could you give us an idea of all the lead generation? Why door knocking? That seemed to be one of your first go-to things.
Well, thanks, Troy, for the opportunity. Door knocking, it's something that I felt the most comfortable with, and it was a reason to be there. Like, I had a natural reason to talk to somebody, and it was, for me, an easy conversation. So the first thing I tried was market updates in a neighborhood
Mm-hmm.
before I decided to branch off into open houses. The market updates, I would find a home in a neighborhood that had just gone under contract or had just sold. Either way, both worked well, especially one that was over asking price and that had multiple offers, that had a lot of things going for it. So if it had a lot of positive things going for it, that tells me that other homes in that area could have the same effect. And so I would just go door to door, introduce myself, and hand people a flyer of the home that went under contract or recently sold, and then see where the conversation went. And I actually have several selling leads that I've been following up with. None have closed yet, but that's all right. But I have several that are looking to be able to sell, and we've had five, six, seven conversations over the past year now. So which has been a lot of fun, and then several new ones as well. The second thing was open houses. Open houses, I never really did it necessarily for the buying leads. It was always for the sellers, in my opinion. The buyers were bonus. So what I would do is I would 2 days before an open house, I'll go walk a neighborhood. And as I walk a neighborhood, I'm just letting people know about the upcoming open house that's going on in 2 days. And I'll do something along the lines, at some point in the conversation, I'll say something like this. I'll ask sellers if they may know of someone who would want to live in their neighborhood. A lot of times they have family or friends. Have you ever, and then at the end, I'll have a call to action too. Have you ever considered selling your home? So a couple different triggers in there, encouraging people to bring family and friends. And then also, have you ever considered selling your house? And then I always invite them to come to the open house and see what some of the new updates in this particular home look like, things they could do to change their house. And it's just another touching point where I can have another conversation with them in 2 days. And I'm surprised how many people will come out to an open house from the neighborhood. And then
Mm-hmm.
I've had it probably on 5 or 6 occasions now. Somebody will come out to the open house that lives in the neighborhood and they're like, hey, come over and check out my house. And I'm like, sure. And so they'll give me a tour of their house, kind of showing off what they have or things that they want to do in their home. Or I've had it on one occasion, they asked me to come sit down and watch NASCAR with them. And so I sat down for 15, 20 minutes and just had good casual conversation about some of their hobbies, likes and dislikes, and things they enjoyed about their house and whatnot. And just good conversation builders because life's all about relationships and real estate isn't any different. It's about the relationships that we build with people. When we have no credibility, if we can gain a little credibility just through loving somebody and having a good, meaningful relationship with them, whether it goes to a transaction or not, it's well worth it, in my opinion. The next one is kind of specific to me. You may not have this platform, but you may know somebody that has a short-term rental. We own a short-term rental, and so what I do is I do a neighbor day once a year. I go to 50 homes on either side of our house, and I'll go talk to the neighbors, just letting them know you may not know or you may know we have a short-term rental. Some people really dislike them. Some people are like fine with them. I just like to use it as a way to build relationships with our neighbors, but also invite them over to our house to be able to walk it. While they're there, I have conversations about their home. Have they ever considered selling their home in the neighborhood? And then also, have they ever thought about investing in some more opportunities? And so I've had some really good conversations with one particular neighbor this past Neighbors Day that I held 2 months ago. And so he's looking to buy some additional investment real estate, and he was going to bring guests to stay at our house as well this coming summer. Um, the fourth opportunity that I've done is um, oh, this particular opportunity is really great if you have a somebody looking in a particular neighborhood to buy a home. And I've had several individuals that are kind of like, I want to stay in a specific zone. And so what I'll do is I'll just go door to door where I see good opportunity for a home that my client would like to buy. And I'll go up to him and I'll say, hey, my name's Tim, First Class Real Estate. I have a client who would like to be able to buy a home in your neighborhood. And I said, I'm sure you would never want to leave this beautiful home here because most people are very defensive when you ask them if they'd be willing to sell their house. But if you mention to them, hey, I know you'd never want to leave this home, but who do you know in your neighborhood that's considering moving in the near future? And they are quick to tell you in the neighborhood who's moving, when they're moving, what they know. They don't mind sharing about their neighbors. And so it's a great opportunity, but obviously make sure you have somebody in that neighborhood that wants to purchase, you're telling the truth. Or secondly, personally, I'm always looking to be able to buy real estate personally. So I use that sometimes too. If there's a neighborhood where I want to buy, I'll just let them know I would like to purchase and ask along those lines. And then the fifth one here is during the winter months, I'm not as brave to get out and knock on doors, but I still love every week to get out and drive neighborhoods, and I'll drive them and I'll look for opportunities in the neighborhood. And that will lead to a door knock. So I'll drive the neighborhood and I'm looking for mainly for investors or for myself as an investor to be able to buy a property. And so I'll see an opportunity. What an opportunity looks like, a home where somebody's not living right now. So if there's any signs that somebody's not living there, I'm going to go knock on the door. And 90% of the time, nobody answers the door because most times your instincts are right. Nobody lives there. So then I go to the next door neighbors on either side. And I've had some great conversations this week. I've had at two different homes, three great conversations with neighbors, giving me great insight into the neighborhood, what's going on with this house. And in both these cases, yes, these people are motivated to sell. And then it's finding out how to contact them. And so there's a lot of fun to be had in door knocking. Um, it is the first time you do it, it is intimidating, whether you like talking to people or not, but it's a repetitious thing. The more you do it, the more comfortable you'll get with it. And once you start seeing the results, then it's a lot more fun too. It gets even more exciting. Troy, you're still muted, I think.
Sorry, I wanted to give you your time without background noise. Thanks. Um, so, what's great is you have different angles on door knocking, right? So, I mean, you've been able to find a few different things like a strength for you, short-term rentals, guaranteeing success on an open house, because, sometimes it's just kind of a luck of the universe if we get our, 6 to 8 people to show up or not. But open houses are a great way to engage with the neighborhood and create opportunity. Does anybody have any questions for Tim on, what he's done, what he's learned from these conversations, or anything best practice wise? Feel free to unmute yourself if you had a question. You can unmute or chat. So,
I think, oh, sorry, I've missed my opportunity.
go
I
ahead.
just would like to throw this out there that I'd love to shadow you sometime. I'd love to see it in live action. That's
I would
fine.
love to, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Sorry, I was hopping between another phone call. My bad there. Yeah, I'd love to. It's so much fun. Jeremiah and I went out this past end of summer, fall time. on a Saturday, canvassing and talking to neighbors for an upcoming open house that we were doing. But that's a great into a neighborhood through the open house, which is a lot of fun. Um, yeah, but as I said, there's like 5 different ways we could go. Just let me know, Stephanie, if there's a time that works for you, and I'd love to be able to go together.
Awesome. Thanks.
So when you were doing open houses, and you might have mentioned this, but just a quick question, did you have a goal of how many doors you wanted to reach? And what was the timing before the open house? Was it like the day before, the morning of? What were some things that seemed to work for you?
Yeah, the goal of the open house for me was I wanted to hand it. I would take 40 to 50 flyers with me, and I would end up going until I ran out. I found if I gave myself, for me, that was a reasonable number, and I got tired, burnt out, normally around getting to 35, but that would always push me to do those extra couple at the end. Just because you're starting a new conversation at every door, it's not continuous. You go back to ground zero, building relationships and going from there. So
So,
yes, and normally it was the day before or 2 days before is when I would head out. There was 1 or 2 cases where I went out the morning of, and I still had success from that as well. But most times it was a day or two beforehand.
okay. If you wouldn't mind, last thing, and then Tim will let you off the hook, and then I'll get back to doing my job since you've been doing an amazing job of doing my job. So thank you, man, for sharing. I appreciate that. Um, let's say you're having an open house at 123 Main Street. What does it typically sound like when you're going to the door? If we could just role play it, I'm a homeowner, I'm 10 doors down. Um, what does this sound like? So knock, knock, knock. I answer the door and I say, "Hi, how can I help you out?"
Hey, my name's Tim Mannion with First Class Real Estate. I'm actually holding an open house just down the street in a couple days. Do you mind if I share a flyer with you?
Yeah, yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you know what I did is I promised the sellers that I would get the word out in the neighborhood. And so I told them I would do every opportunity I possibly could. So I wanted to spend some time in the neighborhood sharing this opportunity because if you're anything like me, I love to be able to choose my neighbors. There's nothing worse than having somebody come to the neighborhood that is just not a great neighbor. So the best way to control that is to be able to have family, friends, somebody you like come move into your neighborhood. Would you know of anybody that may enjoy living in the neighborhood?
Um, Man, I'm not really sure. I don't, no one really comes to mind. I know that there's a few renters here that mentioned that they wanted to buy it when something came up. It was the one in that blue house down there around the corner. I know that they've thought about it.
Oh, that's perfectly fine. We don't always know of people that we necessarily want to live in the neighborhood. But something that's kind of fun too is coming out to be able to see what another home looks like in a neighborhood. Would you be interested in even stopping down for a couple minutes and seeing what the inside of this house may look like at our open house?
Maybe. What are they selling it for?
Well, it's actually selling. I think you'll be surprised. Look on your flyer there, selling for 489.
What? You got to be kidding me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what size home do you have? I can only see from the outside.
Yeah, I've got 2,400 square feet. It's 4.2 and a half, and we bought it 6 years ago.
Wow, yeah, that's very comparable in size. If you'd like to be able to step on down this weekend, love to be able to show you around. You might be see some updates you may even enjoy doing to your house.
Yeah. All right. That sounds good. I
Also,
appreciate it.
have you ever considered even selling your own home?
Uh, Not yet. I've got somebody in high school, so they're going to be going there a couple of more years, and then after that, that'll be the last one moved out, and I'll probably rethink it then.
Awesome. Well, if it works out, I'd love to see you from 4 to 6 this coming Saturday. Have a wonderful day.
Awesome, great. Sharice, you had a question. Where you have an open house tomorrow? Where can I get door knockers today? Yeah, maybe like a FedEx Kinko's can print those that fast, or maybe like an Office Depot, something local and in person. Maybe Minuteman Press I know they're on Independence in Virginia Beach. They're very good with last minute stuff because I've certainly given it to them before. Other than that, use a flyer. That will be easy to print off.
Troy,
Any other questions for
may
Tim?
I know at one time first class had a little section where they had door hangers. Do we still have those?
Those are packed up.
Okay, oh
So
yeah. All
I'm,
right.
I'm suggesting local printers and personalization.
Got you. Because I sometimes I would use those whenever they're unpacked and I would just staple my my business card to the front of that too.
Hmm.
All right.
Any other questions for Tim before we move on here?
How'd you get so smart? Seriously, he's new to the game, right? He's new to real estate.
Well, I would say what's great about Tim is authentic and it comes across in conversations and he genuinely loves people. He does. I
Hmm.
mean, he likes conversing with people. He helps, or he likes, helping people. He is naturally curious, which helps him because instead of him trying to force feed his benefits and his skill, he is asking questions. And if you think about how to win friends and influence people, one way to be interesting is to be interested. He does a phenomenal job of being interested, and people open up. He has a friendly, natural demeanor, and he connects well with people. But we can all be that, right? I mean, all we have to do is just be our authentic self. You don't have to put on a new face in order to be a real estate agent communicating with people. People don't want that. They want to work with people they can trust. And if you are interested in them and where they are and where they want to be, um, you're going to have success. But the other thing too is Tim will, um, he has the perseverance to go beyond the first couple of doors, right? And you try 3 or 4 doors and it may not work out. But he's determined to knock on enough doors to get enough interactions. So if we were going to steal something out of, let's say, Atomic Habits, where they say, well, if you're trying to adopt a new habit or a new skill and it's difficult to get started, they suggest do it for 5 minutes, right? Start with 5 minutes. And if you survived 5 minutes, okay, do 5 more minutes and keep going. And maybe it could be the same thing with door knocking or if it's cold calls. Knock on five. Okay, you live to tell about it. Can you do 5 more? And the same thing with phone calls too. Promise yourself 5. Can you expand to another 5? And before you know it, momentum builds up. Then one of those will turn into a quality conversation, and then you're going to start to feel some success out of that. So let's move forward to some of the scripts. And I did add this on the PDF to help you out. And, really, I always think that the beginning is the most important part, right? If you're quickly stating why you're there, and getting to the point, it's going to lead to a successful conversation. And then remember, it should be 80% them, 20% you. So if you're asking the right questions and they're opening up, that should be the ratio of things. And you just have to trust your gut on the interpersonal relationship cues, right? If you got somebody who's clearly not interested, well, you're not there to push them, right? You're there to find engaging conversations. Hey, I'm just in the neighborhood. I wanted to see if you're ever considered selling or if you know someone who might be interested. Um, Values have been increasing, and we have buyers who are ready to make some pretty strong offers. This neighborhood's doing very well. Or maybe it is a neighborhood that isn't top notch, that is good for flips. Investors are looking for things, and you might be able to find something. If you're driving for dollars and you see a house that looks like it's a little behind on maintenance and landscaping and things like that. Maybe this is something good for an investor. I am Troy with First Class Real Estate. I work with a group of serious investor buyers. They're always looking for homes that they can renovate. Have you had an interest in selling? So just some thought starters. And some follow-up questions. You've heard you've heard the conversations with Tim and how that progresses with an open house, inviting them somewhere, or moving forward with, hey, would you like some sort of, home value analysis or appointment or update or value? A line that I heard from somebody who really built an empire off of door knocking. And that's all she did. She just door knocked one neighborhood with 500 homes and just kept working it over and over again. Given the right price, would you consider selling in the next 6 to 12 months? Simple line. Hey, I'm Troy with First Class Real Estate, just saying hi to some of the neighbors. I happen to live in this neighborhood too. I love it, but look, sometimes I know some people need to leave. Given the right price, would you consider selling in the next 6 to 12 months? Yes, no. Hey, I totally understand if now is not the right time. How long have you lived here? "Well, I've lived here 5 years." You may be surprised how much your value has grown over that time. And has anyone ever given you that information? Well, no, I looked at this estimate. Yeah, I hear you. This estimate sometimes is a little bit of a wild card. We notice that sometimes they're off quite a bit. I'd love to send you a home value. I can mail it to you in the next week or so. I would love to follow up and see your thoughts on that. Would that be okay? So we're giving you examples, but really it's two things. What I would suggest is what's your target topic, right? Practicing what you're going to say, and then also A/B test it. What that means is have a version A of your script and a version B. And test each one out and see which one seems to build a little bit more connection than the other. So all the things that you can follow up with. This is at the conversation at the door. Hey, would it be helpful if I give you a free, no obligation home value estimate? And usually they're going to say no because they think it costs money, or they think that you're going to bombard them, or that it is going to take a lot of your time, believe it or not. And if you let them know that, hey, it doesn't take me too much time to take a look at your value and see how that's grown, no obligation, and I'd just like to send that your way just to help out neighbors. Given the right price, would you consider selling in the next 6 to 12 months? Yes. Hey, great. Well, look, I'd love to set up a time to go over your options and provide a market evaluation. When would be a good time? Later today, tomorrow. I'd like to find out more about your home. If there seems like there's a warm opportunity, ask for the appointment. There had been times where I've spoken to Tim many times on his door knocking adventures, and he's gotten instant appointments where before you know it, they're welcoming him in the home and talking about how they've renovated this and that. If you get a no, hey, no problem. If things change in the future, I'd love to be a resource for you. Again, I'm an agent in this neighborhood, or I'm an agent that works with clients in a neighborhood like this, or I work with clients in this neighborhood, however angle you want. Hey, no problem. If things change, I'd love to be a resource for you. Here's my card. Feel free to reach out anytime. So at least leave something behind, even if it's a no.
Hey,
Couple of,
Troy.
yeah.
Oh, sorry, real quick. What do you think about, or Tim or whoever, taking out like a generic kind of price range flyer and then talking to them and they can kind of see a price range and then letting them know, hey, if you want me to, I can send you a more personalized one for your home? Or do you think that might be kind of effective? Or
Well, that's fine, and I would, if you have local references on your flyer, I think it's helpful, right? I would suggest maybe something that's a little bit more broad, like um, values in Pleasantville have gone up as much as 8 to 12% in the last 2 years. And it could be a range, whether it's specific dollar amount or percentage, and then say, hey, I'd love to dial in and let you know how yours is. I think the win there is that you have a local reference. If you have some sort of local reference, I think that helps. You're trying to build a connection with the neighborhood and the neighbors. Few tips: smile and be friendly. People respond better with warm, confident energy, right? And one way that you can instantly change your tone and your demeanor. And if, let's say, you are a little nervous and you're trying to come out your shell a little bit, you're trying to get comfortable with knocking on the door, the spontaneity of the situation, smile, right? That's the best sort of communication that you can give, right? Because if you're smiling, it's going to do two things. One, you're going to be here warm and friendly. And then two, it's going to start you off with a warm tone, no matter what, right? And so smile as I answer before you speak, and it's going to give you momentum on the right tonality. Use their name. If you can catch it early in the conversation, you may have to get better at that. That's something that I have to grow on. I'll meet somebody, I'll get their name, and then I have to think about it. I'm like, okay, their name is, and I like literally have to kind of burn it into my brain. Um, because the name is certainly going to build rapport. If you forget, it's okay to say, "Hey, I'm sorry. I've talked to a few neighbors. Your name again was okay, Tim." And then continue. A little cheat code is a tax record list. So you can go into the MLS, go to the property tax records, and you can download addresses and the names of the owners. And if you are systematic with what you're doing, you can say, okay, well, now I'm going to 123 Main Street, and that's Bob and Mary Jones. Okay, great. And they answer the door, and you are going through your script. And imagine if you said, hey, by the way, are you Bob and Mary Jones? And at least you are becoming more personal. Don't be pushy. Respect their response, and leave the door open for a future conversation. Sometimes we catch people at the bad time. It's a bad time, or they're about to leave, or they just don't have any interest. And any sort of prospecting activity is a high volume activity. That means there's going to be a certain percentage interested, a certain percentage not interested, and then you're going to have a big middle range of some to follow up on that may turn into future opportunity.
Sure.
Anything else before we move on?
I was just going to make a comment to what you just said there about using their names.
Okay.
It is interesting. I've done that several times, and people, first of all, they get really freaked out that you know their name, and then they'll be like, "How did you know that information?" I'm like, "Oh, it's just public record." And so then it's great conversation. They're like, "Oh, okay, that's interesting that you went through that effort."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you may have to be ready for the people who are a little freaked out that you know their name. And uh, so have your go-to line on that. Um, Sharice said, so many people don't want to sell because they're going to have to pay more with a higher interest rate. How would you respond? I think it's the same sort of conversation with whether it's somebody who's over the phone, in person, internet leads, sphere of influence. Um, it's not about the interest rate. It's for them moving. If they have a three interest rate, a 3% interest rate, and they're moving, and it's going to be a 6.5. There's going to be a trigger. There's going to be a need for it, and the need will have to be stronger than the interest rate. So whether it's upsizing, downsizing, work, family, the D's like divorce, diapers, death, things like that, then the interest rate won't matter if the trigger is there. And a talk track may be, well, since you have such a great interest rate, but you need to move, perhaps you don't sell, hang on to that home at that great interest rate. That could build your rental portfolio as you move forward. Maybe some cash flow on your home that you're renting out actually helps with your mortgage on where you're moving next. Just a suggestion on that. So moving forward to cold calls, fun stuff here. I'm going to stick to just a couple of the most common cold calls in regards to sellers. In the future session, we talk about internet leads and following up with buyer leads. But With cold calls, similar to door knocking, the biggest objection is you, the fear of the phone, most likely because why? Lack of plan, lack of practice, lack of prep for objections, and then your lack of belief. So again, it's if I'm going to start this activity, let me do some preparation. Let me get to know the scripts. Let me get to know a little bit about what sort of plan I can have. Well, if we were going to talk more about the plan, what does that mean? The plan is with scripting is getting to your point quickly. That's what I would suggest. Skip the nice day stuff. How are you? How's your day? Thanks for answering. It's now not a good is now not a good time to call. If it wasn't a good time, they wouldn't answer the phone, right? Get to the point of why you're calling. This is all about fact finding, not selling. So they don't want to call out of the blue just so that you will give them a list of amazing benefits. So again, it's that 80-20 rule. It's 20% you, 80% them, asking the right questions to find out what is the purpose of what they want to do. Then you want to control the outcome. So before you even pick up the phone, whether you're calling expired, for sale by owner, whatever, you know your outcome and it helps you control the conversation. The best thing would be some sort of appointment or consultation. That's the top thing. And I would ask for that every single time. Yeah, they may say no, but you won't know if you would get that yes if you didn't ask, right? So sometimes we don't ask because we're so worried about the no. But if you didn't ask, you wouldn't get the yes, right? So you need to lead the conversation and get it to an appointment consultation. That's the best thing. Or is it additional information? Hey, it sounds like you're not really ready to meet yet. I totally understand. Look, let me find out a little additional info about what's happening in the market right now. I want to see if things are changing in your neighborhood, if things are getting better, if more buyers are interested, because with interest rate and seasonality, the market does go up and down a little bit. Or follow up on their plan or time frame. So if it's I'm going to sell when this happens, or I'm going to sell at this time, you got to keep those notes and follow up on their plan and their time frame to see how things are developing with their story. So that's really the plan. It is having a good introduction, your fact finding, and what's the outcome. It's always let's meet. Okay, if not, hey, let me get some info. I want to make sure I report back to you, and then follow up on their plan and their time frame. So an expired script, and what would this be like? Expired listings, withdrawn listings, all very similar. It's off the market, and it could be mostly two reasons. One, they're fed up with the process and it failed. They put it on the market, they did the pictures, they did the staging, and no one bought it. Most times it's the price. That's why. But with expireds, I would caution you to get into the price conversation on the phone. I would avoid that. I would have the price conversation in person when you have data to back it up, because too many agents try to win a listing on the phone by beating them up on price and they're not interested. The other reason would be there's a legitimate reason. The job fell through. There was something that changed income-wise where they couldn't move forward, right? There were things where, well, we decided to stay because of some other sort of life trigger. But most expireds, more than half, are going to list again. So why not give it a shot? What would that sound like if I'm calling again? I skip the nice day stuff and I get right to the point. And I would do this. I would call every day early in the morning. As soon as I got my expired list from a paid service, I'd say, hi, this is Troy with First Class Real Estate. May I help you get your home sold? And some wouldn't even know they were off the market. They'd say, well, it's already being sold by, Howard Hanna or something. I'd say, well, I don't want to surprise you, but I noticed on the MLS, on Zillow, I would name something big, that it's no longer on the market. No one is seeing your home for potential showings. Did your agent maybe not update you on that? I'm trying to lean into a sort of communication problem. So again, hi, this is Troy with First Class Real Estate. May I help you get your home sold? It's very direct. And I'm not saying, hi, is this Bob, the owner of 123 Main Street? I may or may not have the right number. If I have the wrong number, hey, I apologize. I'm just trying to reach Bob. Sorry. Right. Again, not how is your day or anything like that. I'm getting right to it. Hi, this is Troy with First Class Real Estate. Uh, may I help you get your home sold? Yes, not sure. Rarely do you get an immediate yes. Usually it's either no or I don't know. I just took it off the market. Okay. When are you planning to list again? Being assumptive that they are going to, I'm not going to say, are you going to list again? Right? Because that's too early for a yes, no question. When are you planning to list again? I have no idea. My orders, I was supposed to go to, Oklahoma, it's on pause. I don't know when that's going to kick in again. Well, I get it. I noticed that you were on the market for about, 97 days, way above average. Um, so other than your orders uh, being confirmed, are there any other reasons why you're choosing not to sell? Well, no, that's it. I mean, we just need to find out about that. I'm looking at this home, Mr. Seller, and I can't believe that it didn't sell. I mean, just looking at your home, it looks like it's in good condition, that you've taken care of it. I know that if we were marketing this, we would be able to get this sold in a lot faster time frame than the 90 days you're on the market. Why do you think it didn't sell? So try to get some insight as to why. A lot of times they'll say, I don't know. And then I'm going to be a little bit of a shark and not completely throw their agent under the bus, but a little bit. Did your agent communicate with you as to why it didn't sell? So now I'm trying to build communication problems, because I know that the number one the number one complaint of expired listings is I never hear from my agent. Right. So I'm going there. I'm trying to win with a new plan and a communication plan. So let me ask you, since your orders to Oklahoma are kind of in flux here, where do you think you'll be moving next? Or I would say, so where did you plan on moving next? I want to see this as a buy side opportunity too. Well, it sounds like it's still pretty important for you to move. Our team does things differently, or you could say, I do things differently, or we do things differently, depending on your perspective. Most agents sell on average 6, 7 homes a year, but we're selling 30 to 75 homes a month. So, I'd love to see how we can help. By the way, going back to them, what do you think needs to be different this time? I'm not sure. I don't know if I ever really liked the pictures, and, maybe we thought about decluttering a bit. Hey, those are all good things. Matter of fact, I do have a photo prep sheet that also helps with how to stage the home correctly. Certainly love to share that with you and see if you have any questions about it. Um, I know that you're not in a rush to put the home back on the market, but I would love to go in and give my perspective on this. And you may or may not list with me, but I would certainly love to give you some ideas that no matter what would help you be a success next time. So I'm not really pushing for the business. I'm trying to get in the door, but I am giving them something of value. I want to leave you something. I want to give you something of value, whether you use me or not. What's the secret that I know that's going to help you get this sold? Well, it sounds like you definitely need a different plan, certainly a communication plan, so you know what's happening with your home, but then also other agents are fully informed and prepped before they show your home. I'd love to stop by the home, give you a few ideas on what may work better next. Look, whether you use us or not, it's going to be some ideas to help you get this home sold no matter what. When can I stop by? Any questions on expired listings before we get to for sale by owners? For sale by owners. So the market's changed a bit. Before, FSBOs can go out there overpriced, minimal marketing, and still get it sold. And there weren't a lot of for sale by owners because they were going pretty quickly. as the market changes, the market time for sale by owners is increasing. Why? Because they are priced too high, they're under marketed, and they don't communicate well with agents who want to show or buyers who want to show. There was one for sale by owner selling in Virginia Beach, and they were driving up from Elizabeth City, North Carolina to show the home. How long would that work out, right? So it's an inconvenience for them. They have other jobs, they have a life, and now they want to be a real estate agent on the side. And that's a difficult thing to do, right? So for a for sale by owner, there are plenty of scripts. There are agents who claim that they have a buyer, and they'll go as far as showing up at the house with a friend or a spouse, pretending that that's a buyer, believe it or not, in order to get in the home. Please don't be that agent. Don't make up stories that you have buyers unless you actually do. There are plenty of other ways to get in the door. And there are plenty of agents who try to win the business over the phone, and there are advanced scripts in which you can do that, where the magic line is. So if I were to show you how I can market your home and sell it for a price where you would still net what you want and my compensation would be completely covered, would you like to know more about that? And there are some who do go for the straight sale like that on the phone, and I give you the green light on that one. I think one of the more successful strategies for sale by owners is to get in the door and try to do some of the heavy lifting um, in person. Over the phone for sale by owners, they'll get a lot of calls, and they might get a little annoyed because there's a lot of agents who are trying to win the business on the phone. But if you can get in with a preview appointment, talk to them in person, you don't have to show up with a lot of materials. You're building rapport and doing a little fact finding on when are they going to list, where are they going, why are they selling, things like that. You're going to have a much better conversation in person. So that's why I like to promote the preview script. And I think it actually does help you because now you're previewing homes, and you never know, you might actually make a connection on this. So the goal is to get inside the home, build rapport, position yourself as the resource, demonstrating the value of working with an agent. And there might be for sale by owners who have not sold before, so that they don't know the true value of a listing agent, where we are going to help them prepare the home, competitively price, handle showings, handle negotiations, make sure that we help someone through the contractual process, possibly negotiate repairs, possibly handle a termite moisture and appraisal related repairs, defend the value for the appraiser, and then make sure everything contractually happens so somebody gets to the closing table. So we do quite a bit, and it helps if you know the value of a listing agent too, and you want to study that. But this is all about getting in the door. Hi, I'm Troy with First Class Real Estate. I'm sure you're getting a lot of calls, but I was in the area, or I noticed online that your home was for sale. I work with buyers, and our whole team does too. We're looking for homes like yours, and I'd love to stop by for a quick preview. Would that be okay? And let them respond. Some common objections, keeping the conversation going. Are you an agent? I mean, look, I'm not looking to list my home. Hey, I totally understand. I'm sure you're getting a lot of calls about that. I'm not here to pressure you into a listing. I just want to see if your home might be a good fit for my buyers. I do come across someone looking for a home like yours. Would you be open to working with an agent that brings you a qualified buyer? Yeah, sure, if you bring me a buyer. Yeah, hey, that's great. By the way, and I would ask if they're offering compensation, because there are some for sale by owners who may believe in some of the headlines that say, oh, we don't have to pay agents anymore, right? Buyers will pay for their own agents. And yes, they can. They always could pay their own agent. We just don't see a great prevalence of that. So again, I just want to see if your home might be a good fit for my buyers. We are constantly marketing homes and building up our network. Would you be open to working with an agent who brings you a qualified buyer? Yeah, sure, if you bring me a buyer. Yeah, that's great. By the way, are you offering compensation to somebody who brings a qualified buyer? Yes. How much? 2%, 3%, 1%, no percent, that sort of thing, right? Or another would be, well, the third agent who said they wanted to preview my home today. I mean, are you, why are you coming to just get the listing, or do you really have a buyer? Well, a lot of buyers that I work with are looking for homes just like this. And a lot of times they don't really see every for sale by owner listing online because it's not marketed to the point of how agents do it, dropping value. I'd love to see it in person. It helps me know if it could be a match for one of them. I have a lot of people on my social media. I have a lot of social media followers, and it might be something that somebody in my circle really could align with. If they say yes, wow, what to do at the preview? Okay, I got in the door. Now what? Well, you want to build rapport and gather information, right? You're fact finding. You're not really presenting. Ask questions about their motivation. Hey, why are you selling? Where were you moving to next? Where are you going? Okay, you're moving to Dubuque, Iowa. That's great. Do you need a connection with an agent there? Because we've got a good network of agents everywhere. That way you're not choosing somebody randomly online, trying to get a referral business, right? Um, Compliment the home, right? Hey, you done a great job with the place. Yeah, I love how you've prepared this. Oh, so you painted this room. Find something positive to talk about, right? Because when they're talking positively about their home and explaining certain things, then you are both in the right mind space where it is a positive communication, right? There are a lot of agents who will go to a home on one of these FSBO previews and they will beat up the homeowner. Oh, this is all wrong. You need to fix this. You shouldn't have painted that. You have too much clutter. They will go and they will tear their house apart. I hear the stories. So understand some of the pain points. All right, let me go back one step to the compliment your home where, hey, you've done a great job. A sentence like, what do you love most about living here? Is another great sort of psychological method to use because again, they're going to start talking about their positive memories of why they love their home and what they'll miss. And again, you are building rapport and building trust because they are opening up to you. And then find out a little bit about the process so far and has it been difficult? Hey, how has selling been going for you so far? Have you had any buyers come? Has it been mostly agents? Okay. So I take it you haven't received any offers yet? No. Or what a lot of for sale banners will say, hey, so how's the selling process been going for you so far? Oh, it's great. We've had 15 showings and we've been really busy. Okay, great. Have you gotten any offers from that? Because that's really where it's at is, yes, traffic is good, but how many offers have you received? And most likely they haven't received any, right? Or it'd be under contract before you show up. So you're kind of reminding them that there's a gap in their process, that they need more help. So now you want to show your value. You've built rapport, you found out a little bit about where they're going, a little bit more about their house, why they love it, what are they going to miss, what have you. So if I had a buyer who was interested, how flexible are you on the price? And you're asking that if you know going in that it's overpriced, check the comps before you go. If you check the comparables and you know that they're like 40 grand overpriced, you want to see, is there some flexibility? Because there sometimes is no flexibility. And do you really want to list something for somebody who is not reasonable on the price? How have showings been, as I mentioned? Are you getting a lot of serious buyers or just people looking? Would you be open to discussing some strategies that could help you get it more qualified buyers? All right, kind of planting the seeds here. And then this is again the preview. What I would suggest, have a 30-day mindset of this, of I'm following up or I'm meeting them and I'm going to follow up. And most for sale by owners are going to put a time limit as to how long they're going to do it themselves. 2 weeks, a month or two, right? They already have some belief in their mind of what a finish line is. So you want to find out, hey, thanks for taking me a look. If I come across a buyer who's interested, I'll certainly let you know. You know, by the way, would it be okay if I checked in a couple of weeks to see how things are going? Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Well, speaking of, you know, after about 4 weeks, if this is not sold, do you plan on listing? What's your plan then? Well, I want to give it a try for at least a month, month and a half. Hey, okay, that's fair. I hope it works out for you. If you need a little extra help on things, whether it's marketing negotiations or the right disclosure, I'd love to be a resource for you. So I know that you don't want to give away information unless you're being paid for it, but giving away information is exactly what opens the door for you getting the opportunity. Because remember, a lot of agents are going to go in there and they're going to go for the kill. They're going to try to list it right away. There are others who are going to go, they're going to beat them up on price. There are going to be others who go and they're going to lie to them. There are going to be others who go and all they're going to do is beat them up about the house. So if you come in with value and more of a giving mindset, you're going to have a better impression. And does it work with every for sale by owner that you meet? No. But again, any prospecting is a numbers game and you have to have enough previews in order to win. And there are some for sale by owners and they'll do it for like 30, 60, 90 days. And I would follow up. So again, hey, thanks for letting me look. If I come across any buyers, I'll certainly let you know. You know, by the way, if you needed some help, if you had some questions about the process, or maybe you even receive an offer, if you need a few suggestions on that, you know, let me know. I'd love to help out. So is there a time frame, maybe a couple weeks or a month, if this isn't sold, would you be interested in listing with an agent then? Yes, maybe. Okay. I'd love to check back in with you and see how things are. You can now, some agents actually offer to hold an open house too. And yes, you can do that. If they're marketed on something like a Zillow or something, and yeah, you can put some signs out there. What I would suggest is maybe having something like um, some, you know, resource, maybe like a summary of rights or something like that, so that when people come in, they realize that you're not representing the seller, and maybe verbalizing that, hey, I'm a licensed agent. I'm not representing the seller. Thanks for coming today. You might be able to actually pull some leads from having an open house at a for sale by owner, because most agents won't do it. And it's a wide open opportunity. So if they say no, hey, no problem at all. If anything changes or you need help along the way, I'd be happy to be a resource for you. Here's my contact info, here's my flyer, you know, here's my listing resource, whatever it is. Feel free to reach out to me anytime, right? Take the high road. A few tips for success. Be casual and friendly, right? You're not selling, you're just looking. You are fact finding. And the more information you have, the better your conversations are going to be now and in your follow-up conversations. And then be genuinely interested in their situation. The more they talk, the better, as we discussed earlier, right? It's not about you showing up and dominating their time with a plan. It's asking the right questions. You are positioning yourself as that person that cares, that is of value, and will be a resource for them. You know, leave a business card or maybe some sort of FSBO guide, or maybe 5 tips to selling your home, things like that to stay top of mind. That can always be a follow-up too, right? Because if you're there in person, you can always mail a note card and say, hey, I'm sorry I didn't have any business cards on me my day that day. Here's my business card. Thanks for letting me stop by. And I am connecting with buyers to see if there's any interest. Oh, hey, by the way, thanks for letting me stop by. I wanted to send you my top 5 things sellers should do to make a showing successful. You know, what sort of resource can you follow up with? And then check and see in later if they need help. Most agents are going to reach out one time and stop. If you are in the minority, we're talking about the 5 to 10% who reach out over a 30-day period, you're really going to be in a position to convert these. Think of a 30-day outreach or 30-day plan, right? You went there in person. Now maybe it's a follow-up call. Hey, thanks for letting me stop by last Saturday. Thanks for letting me post it on on Facebook. I appreciate that. I'm still looking for a connection. Another is needed disclosures. Hey, I mailed you the residential property disclosure statement that even for sale by owners need, believe it or not. And that's a state mandate. A lot of them don't even know that, right? So you could send them simply the DPOR form, some sort of mailer, right? A success story. I helped the Johnsons sell their house through my 4-point marketing plan and through this. So this is how we did it. It's a success story, or maybe it is some sort of market update, right? Letting them know there's competition. Every seller believes that they have the best house on the block and they're the only one listed. If you remind them there is other competition that is selling faster or lower or better condition, then they realize, okay, I need help because of this level of competition. I put it out there and I thought I was going to get 19 showings and 14 offers, and nobody showed up, and I'm 7 days into this. They're really going to start to question things. But if you're 2-3 weeks into this and you simply emailed a market update, hey, Bob, thanks for letting me stop by a couple weeks ago. I just did a quick market update to let you know of what other homes are available, pending, and recently closed, similar to your home within about a half mile. And you're always going to find homes that are pretty similar to that most times, right? So again, it's reminding them. I got a expired listing. I called in the morning and she was just absolutely exhausted from the whole process. And I literally told her over the phone, hey, here's what I would suggest. Don't list, right? Sounds like you need a break. Everyone that's going to call you is going to want to list tomorrow. Take that break, reset, re-energize, and I'd like to meet you when you're ready to meet. She said, okay. A couple of weeks later, hey, I see you're not listed. You took my advice. That's great. Can I stop by? Stop by, had about a 40-minute meeting, said, okay, well, it sounds like you're still not ready yet. Give it time. I'd love to reach out to you in the future. All right. And then about 10, 14 days after that, I emailed a market update. Here's what's listed, pending, recently sold. Got a phone call right after that. Come list my house. All right. 3 touches. So with for sale by owner, it could be the same thing, right? Because if you did this, a 30-day outreach, a follow-up call as a thank you, how is it going? You mailed the needed disclosure, right? Or some other mailing resource. You emailed a market update, right? Or the compensation angle, right? The compensation angle is, hey, Bob, I wanted to remind you, I know that you said you were offering 3% for a selling agent. Well, when we list a home, we list for the same thing, 3%. So there may be a way to use the full power of our marketing, and it wouldn't cost you any more than that 3%. And perhaps we can find a buyer who's willing to pay their agent. Would you consider that? That's kind of a newer conversation. That is working for some. How do you work that out? Well, maybe the buyer pays their agent, maybe they forego closing cost in order for the for sale by owner to pay the buyer's agent, or maybe they go up in purchase price if the home appraises. So either way, if you were reaching out 3 to 4 times over the next 3 to 4 weeks, that's going to be 4 times more than a typical agent reaching out to that for sale by owner. And they are going to list with the one that gave them the most value and they heard from the most. Any questions on for sale by owners? So this was cold calling, door knocking, understanding a little bit better about the techniques and the scripts of that. And you want to practice your scripts. You want to have a plan. You want to get over the fear and you want to see the potential opportunity, because not as many agents are doing it. So the space is wide open for somebody to come in and build all the business they want because there's no ceiling on it. So next session, expired and FSBO listings for leads, and how we can find not only converting expired and FSBOs with more specifics, but how we actually can utilize and leverage those types of leads for getting business ourselves. And it's a way to perhaps even get both sides of a transaction. So we'll just talk about how you can actually leverage more opportunity off a business that is hiding in plain sight.